Hello and welcome to a very special and very exciting edition of Santos on Sports. Along with Chris, I am Paul. Welcome in. First of all, let's say hello to our sponsors, Scotty's Pub in Fall River, Citywide Glass in Dartmouth, Fall River in Taunton, Lakeville Athletic Club in, they're in Lakeville, Massachusetts. I should know that. And John Seed, the attorney, down in New Bedford, and you can check his website out at johnseedlaw.com. So how about this? Championship number 13 since 2001. I mean, that is just amazing, and we're all feeling pretty good here in New England today.
Oh, absolutely. And if you withstand the heat, you could be making your way up to Boston tomorrow in the duck boats and getting maybe a little ride and see, obviously, the NBA championship that the boys took home after going to Miami, hung out there for a while, and then came back, landed yesterday. So back in Boston. Should be a great parade. Expect to see a big crowd out there tomorrow supporting the green and white.
And I'm going to take a crack at it because my son lives in Boston and works in Boston. So I'm going to go for the plunge and see if I can get up there and see the parade. I got this is the Lucky Celtics t-shirt. The other one is like 0 for 5. So this is the new one. This one's 1 for 1. So this is the one we'll be wearing tomorrow. But as far as this question, your favorite Celtic, not favorite Celtic of all time. Who is your favorite Celtic this year in the year 2023, 2024, going through the playoffs right to the end to this championship?
So you're asking me first?
Yes.
Well, this is gonna be a surprise to you, Paul. I'm staying away from the big two. I think my favorite this year is Derek White, and the reason I'm saying Derek White, and this is the why, is because he's like, to me, the silent assassin. He is just somebody you can rely on. He averaged 15, 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, a defensive gem at times, making some crazy blocks for his size against some bigger people. And he just showed that, you don't have to be the whole hype and be the go-to and still have a productive playoff and regular season. And to me, Derek White was really something special when you needed big shots, when you needed someone to, kind of run the show when the other two were taking a rest. I thought he did an outstanding job all year long, kept quiet, never heard from him, and just played Celtic basketball. Minded me a lot of Dennis Johnson. Really enjoyed him. It was a pleasure. I expect to get out of Tatum, expect to get out of Brown. I didn't know what I was getting out of Derek White, but I did find out what we were getting, and I was quite pleased with what I saw with his production this year. So that's my favorite Celtic for this year, Derek White.
All right, a vote for Derek White by Chris Santos, a very well thought out decision by Chris to pick Derek White. He was kind of like that surprise guy who really gave us some great minutes. Like you said, he does his job, doesn't get in the way, doesn't cause any kind of problems, does his job, and was really a big contributor to the Celtics. Now, before I go on my little rant, we're going to go to the phones. We got a call coming in from Florida. Let's say good evening to Lori Ann. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Nice to hear from you.
Thank you.
So who's your favorite player on the Celtics this year?
Okay. I know that everybody loves Jason Tatum, and I'm going to say him, but I'm going to tell you the reason why. And I think my reasons are a little bit different. Yes, he was the best as far as how many, baskets he made and so forth and so on. But you know what I learned about him was that unlike some of the other celebrity basketball players, he is very reserved, and he is not, he's kind of turned his back on many of the trappings that come with being an NBA star. He said it was never about the money and the cars and being famous or the lifestyle. He said he just truly loved the game, that he loved basketball. I found out his father played basketball, played professional in the Netherlands. Then he also was coaching basketball, and currently is in Australia coaching the National Basketball League. So he was taught by his father at a young age. And he said, Jason said there's a lot of people that play the game and get caught up in the lifestyle, but he doesn't. And he was drafted out of 1 year out of Duke in 2017. And did you know that his mother, who's an attorney, took him down to the accountant's office and said to the accountant, before he signs with the NBA, I want him to only use his endorsement money to buy anything. I don't want him to use any of his NBA salary. And Jason agreed to that. Now, he could have said, no, Mom, I'm not doing that. If I want to buy a $10 million home, I want to be able to. He said, okay.
All right.
He
So
said, okay.
you like him for reasons sort of beyond what's going on the floor.
Well, don't forget. I mean, I love the fact that he's a wonderful player. Okay, that's number one. But I just wanted to add the fact that he still lives in the same $4 million home he bought in 2019, and they said he has no plans of buying a bigger home. He's not trapped by the trappings that most NBA basketball players are, or a lot of celebrity football players even are. That he seems to be grounded. That's the word, grounded and level-minded. And he seems to he was brought up by a single-parent mother, and I have to give her a lot of credit for infusing the ability to not be so taken by all the money and all the trappings of that. He's a very young, 26 years old. They said after the parade tomorrow, his agent's going in with him and the Celtics manager to negotiate a new 5-year contract, which will be $300 some odd million for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is like $60 million a year.
Yeah, right. All right, so
that's
you're picking Jason Tatum for a lot of reasons that we don't generally talk about here. So I think this is a very interesting call, a very insightful call. Mm-hmm. I thank you very much for calling in from Florida, and maybe we'll hear from you again.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris, what did you think about that one? That was very interesting that she really likes that particular player because of a lot of the things that have gone on in his life and the way he carries himself off the court as well as on the court.
Well, that's the key right there. Off the court is what she's talking about. And how about being a family man? You know what I mean? A young kid who has, at 26, a son who's, so you have to have a child when he was like 22, 21. So, you're maturing and you're going through that. And you figure out what needs to be done to be a family man. And he's trying to bypass the stardom and the NBA and the money that some people can really affect them. And I think that's what she was trying to get across off the court. So we know she said, what he's done on the court, how he's a leader and the leader in points and rebounds and assists and all that. We get all that. But she's doing it for more terms of what kind of man and what kind of young man he has become and still is growing at 26.
Okay, before I give my opinion about my favorite Celtic, Let's check in with Ben from Dartmouth. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got to say, I am shocked. I'm in disbelief right now. And I'll be honest with you, I was crying because the last time the Celtics won, I was 1 year old and still in diapers.
Wow.
So it was just a stunning turn of events. I think I cried the most when Jason Tatum picked up his son and was celebrating too. Overall, I mean, what a great season the Celtics have been this season. They had a super stacked team. Getting Porzingis in the offseason really enhanced their team, especially a big 7-foot guard with wingspan and all that height. And then you brought in Drew Holiday, who already knows the game, been in the league for, I think, 18 years now, 15, 18 years, around that gap, who's an NBA veteran, and you led it, and then he led your team to the championship this year. Although I'll tell you this, what stunned me the most, I think Jason Tatum should have won MVP.
Okay. All right, so who's your favorite Celtic?
So who's your favorite Celtic, Ben, right now?
So,
is it Tatum?
So far this season, I like Porzingis, man. I mean,
Porzingis?
He's a big guy. He's got the height. I don't know if you watched this, Paul, but like a couple years ago when the Knicks drafted him, every Knicks fan went crazy and whatnot. And like there was one guy that was like, "Who the hell is Pingus? All this."
All right, but let me backtrack here for a second. Okay, so you like Porzingis? We're asking for favorite player, not necessarily best player. But what about this MVP thing? You know, who do you think should have won the MVP? Do you agree with Ben that Tatum should have been given some consideration there?
Well, I mean, listen, you know, the way he came back and did what he needed to do in the final game, he made a push for it. I still think it was Brown. Could have went co-MVPs and said Tatum and Brown if they wanted to do it that way as well. But I have no problem watching Brown be an MVP. He had a great series just as much as Tatum. So absolutely no problem.
Me neither. I mean, Tatum had a double-double in his first 2 games, especially those games that they needed him the most. But, like, in the last 3 games, he led the team in points. So, I mean, I would consider at least seeing him be an MVP, but I don't know.
All right, Ben. Well, thank you very much for checking in as usual, and call us again.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks,
all right.
Ben.
I'm going to give my little rant over here.
We have a Porzingis. We have a White. We have a Tatum. We have Lee Tuon saying Kyrie Irving. I don't know what that one's about, but we got another Tatum from Andrew DuPont. And obviously Laurie Ann talked about he was 19, Tatum was, and does not live off his NBA salary. So another one with the Tatum response. But Paul, the floor is yours. Who's your favorite Celtic and why?
All right. My favorite Celtic for 2023 and 2024 is Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing that kind of irked me a little bit. Okay, we've talked about it before. It's a team game.
Yep.
This team is very deep. Everybody contributed. That starting 5 is just so much better than everybody else. And when one guy was a little off, somebody else picked it up. When somebody else was off, another person picked it up. And a lot of these other teams didn't have that. So I say yes, yes, and yes. But the thing that irks me a little bit is that, you know, even the post-game coverage, I mean, the cameras just followed Tatum around. Now, I know it's not his fault. They followed him around.
Yep.
But they made it into the Jason Tatum show. And I think that Brown was just as important, if not more important, than Tatum in this series. Now, I know there's doubles and there's reboundings and assists and everything else. But if you look at the numbers, right, I just looked it up real quick.
Yep.
Jason Tatum averaged 25. Jaylen Brown averaged 23, right?
Yep. Yep.
But if you look at the percentage, right,
yep,
Jason Tatum's percentage was pretty bad. I mean, compared to everybody else in the top 20, he had 42%. Yep. It was among the worst of all the players out there. I mean, his shooting was pretty bad. And in fact, you know, Doncic is taking a beating. I would argue to you that Doncic was probably better than Tatum in the first 2 games until he ran out of gas because he's got to put
you're getting away from your comment. The comment is why Jaylen Brown?
Well, because Jaylen Brown, you know, that look in his eye, eye, he's like, you know, I'm gonna go out there when the chips are on the table, when the games are the most important. I still think he's not getting the credit that he deserves, you know, because they'll say like Tatum's Batman and he's Robin, you know. Well, Jaylen Brown might be Batman and you, pal, might be Robin. You know what I mean? The way I look at it is these are the 2 most important series for the Celtics in the last 20 years, especially the last series. So now you get to the conference finals. Who's the most valuable player? It's it's not Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown, right?
Right.
Then you get to the finals, even more important. Perhaps the most important series of the last 40 years. And who's the most valuable player? It's Jaylen Brown again until the last game, which if you recall, I kind of said, hey, when they're up 3-1 or something, then Tatum will come out and have a great game, right? So Jaylen Brown is more of that clutch guy. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but, you know, he has that little bit more of an it factor. And, you know, after the game, right, yeah, I loved it when he picked up his son. I mean, I got sons, I got a grandson. You know, I love that moment, and I even texted about it. But you know what I didn't like about the post game? This thing about, what are you going to say now? Oh, what are you going to say now, huh? I'm going to say the same thing I said 2 hours ago, 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and 2 years ago. You are not clutch. You are not. You are not clutch.
Okay.
If I want somebody to have the ball with a minute left in a football game, it's Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I want somebody at the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. I want Big Papi up there or Reggie Jackson or something like that. If I have the last shot of the game and there's 15 seconds left and the championship's on the line, I'll take anybody besides Tatum because he always misses that shot.
All right, so you want just Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown is my favorite player, but then in addition to that, I just as soon see Derek White take that shot in the
Well,
clutch.
well, whoever you like, that's fine.
So
my
don't come at
question to
me
you,
with this.
here's the question.
What are you going to say now? What are you going to say now? I mean, what do you mean? What are you going to say now?
The it factor that you keep referring to. Okay. Do you think Jaylen Brown did that last year? Do you think Jaylen Brown did that the year before?
No,
Do
I'm
you
talking
think
about this
Jaylen
year.
Brown has done that since he's been a Celtic, or only did the it factor in the clutch part become this year?
I think it's more this year than the previous year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I will totally agree with you.
But
if you recall, we were here last year cursing him because he had no left hand, and we were cursing him that he kept turning the ball over. And we kept cursing him that he doesn't have it when it counts. But now this year, he improved his game. He got better in the offseason. He did the necessary things to become a better player. So the it factor moved up this year. Now, my goal is, Paul, that I want to see this continue for Jaylen Brown, who, again, if I look at this year, you have to tell me the games, and I remember one, I'm trying to think of more, where he hit the it factor clutch shot with 2 seconds left in the game, 3 seconds left in the game. I remember one in the corner. Yes, I do. And he made it in the conference quarterfinals or whatever it was, or semis, whatever. I remember that one. But I'm talking about during the season. There wasn't much during the season that, it's 5 seconds left. Oh, it's tied. Where's Brown? We got to get Brown the ball. I hope it continues, and he continues to be as great as the it and clutch player as you think he is, and he continues during growing up in the next few years to come. I agree with you. It's been his season. Yes. I'm losing you. I apologize, Paul. I don't have the voice. I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally hit the wrong button.
What I'm trying to let you know, and I missed it. But go ahead. Say again.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, Jaylen Brown is still overlooked a little bit. Now, he won these MVPs, but, you
he's
look
not going to be overlooked now.
Well, maybe not, but like
now he's not.
Maybe it's that you have two Batmen on the team. You have Batman A and Batman B.
Right.
Some of these teams are like, well, it's LeBron James' team,
Good.
it's Embiid's team, it's Jimmy Butler's team. Tatum thinks it's his team, but it's not really, because Brown is just as good, if not better than he is.
But see, you're saying that, but did Tatum ever say this is my team? Tatum never said this is my team.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way you're looking at it. I don't see that.
No, that's the actions that I see. I mean, he's in a top 5. Right, he's a first-team All-Star, okay, and Jaylen Brown is not even in the top 15 according to the experts.
But that's not Tatum's fault.
No, it's not Tatum's fault. But
that's the people who choose.
Tatum's a first-team All-Star, and Brown's not even in the top 15.
That's the people who choose.
Wait a minute. Let me just finish. And that guy that's not in the top 15, he not only wins the MVP of the conference finals, he wins the MVP of the finals. Right.
So I hope those people who didn't vote for him.
Right.
Get egg on their face and said we should have picked this guy.
So my argument is that Tatum and Brown are pretty close. That Brown is almost as good, if not better. And that if you swapped off Jimmy Butler,
I love it.
Embiid, Brunson, Edwards, Maxey, any of these guys, you swap them all up, you put them in the Tatum, the Celtics win anyway. So my point is I just think that Brown is.
If they get rid of Tatum and you put those same guys with Brown, they're going to win anyways.
Right. So my argument is that Brown is a little bit overlooked. The focus is on Tatum, And the idea that it's like, what are you going to say now? I mean, what I'm going to say now is the same thing I said before. I'd still take Doncic over
Sure, I have no
Tatum
problem with that. That's fine.
because he has
You taking Doncic over Brown?
he has Holiday and he has Porzingis and
You
he has
taking
Derek
Doncic
White
over Brown?
and he has Brown. He has all these other guys. And
Are
Doncic
you
doesn't have
taking
any else.
Doncic over Brown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To me, it's the same thing. What's happening was when the level of play started with this team and these two came on, Tatum was the one that got the notoriety because his game happened to be a little bit better than Brown. Now Brown has worked his game and he's caught up to Tatum. And so you're looking for that to get over the hump. Well, if people see it, which smart NBA people should, and there's people out there who do see it and say, hey, man, this guy Brown is just as good as Tatum. And yes, I think he's improved his game to say he's worthy of, and this is just a stepping stone, a championship and an MVP. What else you want from the guy? So now coming into next season, they should be thinking, hey, these two guys here, they have to be not one or above or the other. It should be right here because both of those guys have shown what they can do.
We got a couple of callers here, but the thing is, too, like after the game, cameras spent 90% of the time on Tatum. They followed him around with a trophy. He was holding a trophy. Other than the thing with the kid, he's holding a trophy. He's walking around with the trophy. What are you going to say now? What are you going to say now? Goes in the locker room. I mean, I don't remember them passing it around like the Stanley Cup. I mean, this guy just is a little bit – I disagree with Lorianne Alston. I don't know what he's doing off the court. I'm sure he's a nice guy off the court. I've never heard him say anything improper or anything like that. But he's not quite as good as he thinks he is. The other guy is just as good as him, and that's why he's my favorite player. All right. I got a Tatum guy on the line. You ready for the Tatum guy? Spear from the Cape. Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen.
We're having a good time here tonight.
I don't want Brown at the foul line down 1 point with 2 free throws.
Needs to work on that.
Is left.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, in the aggregate, Tatum and Brown are terrific, in my opinion. And that's what's great about sports talk. Everybody's got their own opinion. My opinion is that Brown needs Tatum to be the player he is. Tatum does not need Brown to be the player he is. And I think that it's Tatum's team. Everybody knows it. Brown knows it. Brown, again, you hear after that Supermax contract, he got better. Most people don't. Most people say the same. He is a tremendous explosive player, but still the offense runs through Tatum. Your statistics were a little off, Paul. I think Brown averaged like 20 points and Tatum averaged 22.
Okay.
And I also believe that Brown had a couple more rebounds and a couple more assists, although it wasn't as big of a spread in the shots as far as the percentage that you quoted. But Brown did hit a bigger percentage.
Right.
I just want to say Holiday.
Yeah.
What they call is the 50, the 40, and the 95. And we all heard it. He hit 50% with his shots, 40% from threes, and 95 from the foul line. A lot of that was because he had, obviously, layups. That gives you a bigger percentage.
Right.
But a lot of that with Brown is because Tatum is grabbing double teams. Tatum is bringing the defense to him, and Tatum has really evolved his game. He doesn't have to be the scorer. And I think he was saying, what are you saying about me now, is because they say he's soft. They say that he doesn't have it, and he is not soft. He is out there every night, night after night. He has taken so many minutes for the Celtics. The wear and tear on him and the way he never gives up on any play And I will just refer back to the game one in Miami when they took his feet out from under him. 1 minute left. He landed right on his back with no cushion, none at all. He jumped up smart and so much. He ran down to the defensive end. And who was the first guy that defended him? Do you remember? Brown. He went right after the guy that took his feet under.
That's one of the reasons why I like Brown.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. He's the explosive guy and everything. But he's running around with the trophy and everything because it is his team.
Well,
Paul.
See, that's right.
And,
that's
and
what
it might be co-Batman. It might be co-Batman, but in the aggregate, they're both great.
They're both great. And I think the thing that irks me is that, see, you're saying it's his team, and that's sort of like the general belief that it's his team. And they got him up in the top 5 in terms of players in the NBA, and they got Jaylen Brown at number 20. And all I'm saying is, I know Chris will say I'm a hater and stuff like that. I disagree. I respectfully disagree. I'm tired of hearing that this guy's number 5 and this guy's number 20. It's more like they're both like right around here. Maybe Tatum is a little bit better, but they're certainly within 1 or 2 players of each other. One guy's way up here, and the other guy's way down here.
Right, and but what I'm trying to say, Paul, is that's now. But before that, it was mostly Tatum, and Brown has made his jump and jump and jump, and now he's caught Tatum, in my opinion. Do you think Tatum and Brown, when they both came out, are equal all the way through from when they first came to the Celtics till now? I don't. I think it was Tatum and Brown's caught up, and he's getting there, and now he's meeting where Tatum is. That's why I think people see this as Tatum's
the national media. This is the national media, Paul.
Yeah.
This is the national media.
Yep.
I just don't think he's like that. Reggie Jackson, Big Papi.
Put in front of Brown? Did you see some of the people they put in front of Brown on those all?
Yeah. I mean,
that's the national media. Let's look at it from fan base and we've been following the Celtics. I've been following them since the 60s.
Right.
I'm sure you've been the 70s, the Cowens, the Havliceks, the JoJo White years, right, guys?
That was the 80s.
Okay. I mean, you've seen that. You've seen that, right? But Tatum is so evolved his game. He really has. And I really do believe that them two are going to, if you talk about the Big 3 era, they're 2.5, in the Big 3, they talk about getting to the Big 3.
Let me do a quick analogy here, too. 1967, right? Whose team was it? Kyle Yastrzemski, no question about it. He went into the playoffs. He hit 2 home runs in the World Series, even though they lost. Right. He batted 500 down the stretch, put the team on his back, get him to the impossible dream, winning the American League Championship, okay? The Boston Bruins of the early 70s, clearly Bobby Orr's team. You still had Esposito and Hodge and Cashman and everything else, but it was still Bobby Orr's team, right? This right here is not the same as that. This guy is not the Kyle Yastrzemski and the Bobby Orr, from what I see. It's like, okay, the clutch is coming. Big Papi. Big Papi in that 2013 World Series batted like 600 or 700. Something ridiculous, something insane. He hit that grand slam against Detroit. Like when you needed, they were down by 4, and he hits a grand slam. They needed a grand slam there, and he hits a grand slam. It's like unbelievable. Tom Brady, give him the ball, or Patrick Mahomes, right? I just haven't seen it. Now, if I see it next year, I'll concede. I'll say, hey, the guy now is more clutch now. But as of right now, I don't see that it thing that these other people that I gave you on the list have.
All right, let me finish with this, and I understand. I don't know if you can hear me. The sound sort of.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
We got you.
Okay, all right. I just want to end with this. I heard a fan call up yesterday and talked about trading Tatum.
Yeah, I heard that too. That was insane. Okay. I couldn't believe it.
All right. It brought me back to when Brady went down and Castle came in, and during the season, Castle was doing so good, they were talking about trading Brady. I mean, these are the fans that the sports shows have to listen to. These are the fans that you have to listen to. Right. I mean, we look at evidence, Paul, guys like you and I. We look at evidence, and I think that the fickle fans and what's going on. The overall opinion of Tatum is that he's soft and he's not clutch. You're right.
Yeah, I don't
He
think
can
he's
take those
soft.
hits.
I don't think he's soft. I just don't think he's clutch.
Yeah.
What I've
I
seen
get
so
that.
far. What I've seen so far.
I get that.
All
But
right.
this is a great conversation.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. We're having a great show.
Keep it going.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Spear.
Bye now.
All right. Thank you very much. Spear from the Cape. I know Nelson from Fall River, one of our favorite callers, was trying to get in. So we're going to have some fun with Nelson from Fall River. So now's a good time to call at 774-218-3393. Let me get Chris's response. But before you go, what I wanted to say is that I want to make it clear, like it sounds like I dislike Tatum. I don't dislike him. I just don't think it's right to see this guy here and this guy here all the time, when I think they should be more like this.
Paul, I can agree with you for this year. I have no problem. When they came in 17 and 18 season, 18 and 19, 20, 19 and 20, 20 and 21, 21 and 22, during that time, during those years, was Tatum head and shoulders above Brown? Yes or no?
I think he was ahead of Brown, yes.
Yes. Okay. This is why national audiences will say this is Jason Tatum's team. Now, has Brown caught up? Yes. He's made that jump in 2020, 22, 23 season and the 23, 24 season. Prior to that, it was more of the Tatum show, and because he had the most points, rebounds, and so forth and so on. So the Nationals said, well, we got to represent someone for the Boston Celtics. Well, it's going to be Tatum because he's the one that's doing everything. Now, I agree with you. Brown is caught up last year and got better again, even more this year. So now he's starting to his Tatum here, and here he comes. But at the beginning, no, they needed a face. The face was Tatum because he was leading them even more at that time. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But, I would go back even further because last year Brown had that bad game at the end after Tatum twisted his ankle.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I like
he took it to heart.
I like the fact that he talked about it and that irked him, and he just was so frustrated by it, and he was embarrassed, and he thought about that all year.
Yep. I agree.
And so he worked to get better. Okay, but now you go back 2 years, right? The year against Golden State. I mean, I think Brown had some games that were better than Tatum even then.
Well, okay, he might have had. You mean during that series?
Yeah, Golden State. I mean, Tatum wasn't that great against Golden State. In my view,
Well, I mean, I'd have to look up all the different things.
Right.
I mean, like I said, going into probably, after that series, the following year, which is the 2 years ago, that's when Tatum's made his big jump. And then he's made even more a jump this year. So I'm agreeing with you that he's really improved to be right up there with the level of Tatum. Now, the national people have to see that he's making this move as well. And hopefully by being MVP, they will say, oh, yes, this guy's for real. And next year he gets his turn to be this, that, and the other thing.
Right. I actually texted Chris a joke during the game. And I said, what does Tatum have that Luka Doncic doesn't have? Holiday, Brown, Porzingis, and White. All right, look. One of your favorites is on the line, Chris. One of your favorites.
Nelson.
You know that? Nelson from Fall River. Good evening.
What are they going to say now? I know exactly what I'm going to say now. Which professional sports team in the world of sports that still holds the records for the most championships?
Oh, here we go with the Yankees.
We all know the answer to that question because, for the past few days, the Celtics, the fan base have been saying, oh, we got the most championships. No, pump the brakes. We're not too far away. The pinstripes, baby.
Now, wait a minute. You have to jump to a whole different sport because you can't accept the fact that the Celtics have the most championships. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Of course he does. He's from New York. He's got to think of something New York. Even though a nice series is going on right now, Nelson. You took game one a couple of days ago. The Orioles came back, won game two last night. It's going to be a nice little series. And sneaking up, as Paul would like to say, sneaking up, trying to make that wild card. This team up here in Boston starting to make a move. And Alex Cora, with a team of no-namers besides Devers, is making a move, Nelson. You got to give him a little bit of credit right now.
Yes, look, things are heating up just like the weather. I get that. But let's go back to the topic at hand. Let's not lose focus of the conversation.
Correct.
I'm gonna have to agree with Chris on this. I think, White, when they needed those clutch shots towards the end to separate, the score, make it bigger, he came up. I mean, hell, he even lost a tooth.
Yep.
Or he chipped his tooth. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Listen, his defense was outstanding, Nelson. He made some blocks on some guys who were 3-4 feet taller than him, and he still went up and made some blocks. He was quite impressive.
I couldn't believe it.
Yes. Yep, he was special.
Look, I knew that game was over. As soon as that half-court shot was made.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
I said, this is over.
Oh my God! I jumped out of my chair. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, that's it. That's the nail in the coffin right there.
I was at Barrett's Waterfront in Fall River. It's a great venue.
Yes, it is.
You have three big screens in front of you.
Yeah.
And as soon as that shot was made, I mean, I think you all can imagine what the atmosphere was like.
Right. And then you probably went up to the waitress and said, "Can you please change the channel?"
But I will say this with Tatum, though. He is in line to receive one of the most lucrative contracts very shortly.
Sure.
I think 5 years. I think one of the first callers mentioned that. So he's getting that. I mean, I think we all can say that he is the face, but I also see Paul's point.
I do.
Brown is up there.
Yes.
He is almost neck and neck with Tatum.
I agree.
But what I'm looking at is we're going to see what Al Horford does, because I think he might retire. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if this core group stays together, we could possibly see them repeat, or quite possibly see a dynasty of them win 3 straight. Granted, if they stay healthy and everything else. I mean, if these numbers transition to the next season and they're still around, I mean, this could be a very historic Celtics team.
All right. Did you have a favorite? Because I want to put you on the list. Who is your favorite Celtic? I know you're not a Celtics fan, but who do you like the best on the team this year, 2024?
Oh man, I like Porzingis.
All right.
Porzingis,
because he used to be a Knick.
Man, in times, he really came through for them.
He won first game of that series, basically. You know what I mean? He was definitely MVP of that game.
Can see, and you guys can see, as soon as he went down with that injury, you've seen how the going into the paint and changed everything, because Dallas was really going in there and just having their way with them. But when you go into Boston and you don't keep up that intensity and you let the crowd get into it, it's over. But in the end, it's a team effort. They won, and let's see what happens going forward if this core group stays together.
All right, before I let you go, that chipped tooth that Derek White had, you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of Schilling's bloody sock. It just felt great,
Listen, that season was a fluke to this day. And Chris, let me ask you this question.
They won 4 now.
Did you receive my Father's Day message?
A Father's Day message from you?
Yes, I sent Paul a text. It showed Eli Manning and Tom Brady, and it said Happy Father's Day, and Tom Brady is the son, and Eli Manning is the father. We all know what that means, right?
I don't think
forgot to forward that.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, I forgot to forward that.
Hey, don't
laughing my rear end off.
Don't blame me, Nelson. Blame the guy that can't. The guy can't dish it off. You know what I'm saying? He's not an assist man. He just wants to score. He wants everything himself. I'm trying,
All right.
Nelson. I'm trying.
All right, Nelson, thank you very much for calling.
Guys, have a good one.
All right, let's go to Ryan in Acushnet. Hello.
Righto.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, we're mixing it up today.
Oh, honestly, yeah, I'm loving the debate today. So to answer the question, I've been debating with myself for the past few minutes, give or take, because I'm torn. I wanted to go with Jalen because he's been my favorite player over the past few years. I wanted to go with Porzingis because I love me a good big man, and I love how he impacted the regular season. But this year, I'm actually going to go. I'm going to say this. Make this declaration. My favorite Celtic this year, Drew Holiday, and for a few reasons here.
Good one.
Number one, as you probably know through our text exchange, I'll be the first to admit I am a huge Marcus Smart hater. I thought that man was about as overrated the Boston Celtic as you can get. The whole heart and soul of the Boston Celtics. Give me a break. So you offload him, bring Drew Holiday in, and I'm looking at it saying, okay, all the winning plays that fans thought Marcus Smart made, Drew Holiday's making those plays for the whole world, so everyone in the NBA fandom can see, especially in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like there was a case, you could make a case that Drew Holiday could have made MVP. It could have gotten him MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. Like he was his defense was clutch. He was scoring in the paint, which I can appreciate from, especially with his team shooting way too many threes. In my opinion, I complained about that all year. And I liked him going back to his Pelicans days, and the fact that Brad Stevens wanted him for years, even as a coach. It's fun to kind of see him bring him in in his second year as a GM. So, defensively, he was a surprisingly good shooter, especially from the corners when he did shoot threes. I think the impact that Drew Holiday has made kind of went unnoticed until the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to agree because I picked White, and I picked a lot of the same reasons that you just said about Holiday because, he can go inside and sneak and get in on you. He can shoot it from the outside and get it when you really need it. And then he can take Brown and Tatum's place when those guys are on the bench getting a rest. And I think both of those guys, White and Holiday, are kind of similar. That's the reason why I chose White. But I could have easily went the opposite way and went with you with Holiday as well. So, I'm agreeing with Ryan on both.
What do you think about my argument that, Tatum is getting undue attention a little bit too much and Brown's getting just a little bit too little?
I don't think that the attention that he's getting is unnecessary per se. For that last performance, I do think he deserves his props. I do think that maybe Jaylen Brown was getting a bit too little of attention, considering the fact that he had just won MVP. I feel like he should be getting more, but I don't think that Tatum is getting too much of the attention. I think they both should be getting the equal amount of attention. Maybe Brown a little bit more, if anything at all. But I don't think it's an unnecessary amount of attention that Tatum's getting.
I agree.
All right. Well, while we have you on the line, I know you were the first to text us, and I was busy, so I didn't have my news feed through any of the sports websites coming through. But signing Ramondre Stevenson sounds like the Patriots are not waiting around. They're trying to make some moves. What do you think about that one, Ryan?
I enjoy that. Like it kind of follows the Elliott Wolf Packer way kind of trend that's been going on this entire offseason, which is to get the contracts done with like the homegrown kind of talent. Whereas I feel like if Bill were still the GM here, these deals wouldn't be getting done and they would just be gone the next year. So I like the fact that they brought back Anthony Jennings, they brought back Kyle Duggar, Mike Onwenu. They just got Stevenson done today. I will say I am still very annoyed that the Calvin Ridley contract didn't get done because, that contract is looking like pennies compared to all these wide receiver contracts now. And it just makes me feel like we're never going to get a top flight receiver through free agency or through trades. But we'll see. Otherwise, love these re-signings, including Ramondre Stevenson. He reminds me of like a more athletic LeGarrette Blount.
Things that have been going on in the NFL, Ryan, and one of them is the lack of respect that these running backs have been getting in their contracts. And a lot of guys free agents holding out. And you can go back to Saquon Barkley. You can go back to a lot of guys and just don't think they're getting their due. Do you think this is a due signed contract here for, 4 year, 36? And others now could say, hey, whoa, let's see, look what this guy got. How about that will kind of pass on in the NFL?
I think you might see a little bit of a resurgence in running back contract. I mean, look at not only what Saquon got, but look at the extension that McCaffrey got. And listen, I know in terms of a skill set, Christian McCaffrey is above and beyond many others. I think the closest one in skill set might be Saquon. He's getting 19 mil. But I think for Ramondre Stevenson, $9 million per year, I don't think it's a bad contract at all. If anything else, in comparison to what some of these other backs have been getting, I think it's kind of a steal. I personally value Stevenson more than others, so I thought he was going to end up getting probably not 14, 15, but maybe 11 and a half, 12-ish, give or take. So I think $9 million per year, about really to me is a discount value, but I'd say it's a good get for him.
Okay.
What about the argument that because it's a passing league, that's the reason why the value of the running backs have gone down so much? You can't really put the team on your back and with your running back and have the running back be the best player like there was back in the Larry Zonka era or something like that. So you have to be careful, don't you, to overpay for a running back? I'm not saying they did in this particular case, but you do have to be careful with that, don't you?
Absolutely. Ezekiel Elliott is a prime example of that. He was getting 15 million a year or so, and his production just dipped to a point where they just had to cut him this year. And of course, Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones, he brought him back on the cheap. So that's an entirely different conversation. But yeah, you absolutely do have to be careful about that, especially not only because of the tread on the tires of some of these guys like an Ezekiel Elliott, for example, or who knows, maybe you see that with Christian McCaffrey down the stretch. But that's a good argument on your part. The whole thing about it's a passing league now. Probably the two most valuable positions in the league now, it's quarterback and wide receiver, just based on the contracts alone, let alone the production of some of these passing games. So you do have to be careful about which running backs you pay. It has to be upper echelon running backs. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Nick Chubb, I think, was deserving of his deal, despite the fact that he got injured too. We'll have to see how he recovers off of that one. But I still love Nick Chubb as a player. So you have to be careful about that kind of thing. But yeah, that's a great point. Just with the way the game is trending towards the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, the deep passing attack, it's absolutely has something to do with it.
Yeah, and look at what the contract Jefferson just got, and then you got guys like Ayuk who think I want that. CD Lamb, I want that, and a lot of other guys, Wiggins and a few more that say, hey, it's a passing league, so I want to get paid for it. So throw the money my way.
And before we let you go, Ryan, right, while all this has been going on with the Celtics, we're paying attention to the NBA Finals and how things are going and whether or not the Celtics were going to go on a roll in the finals against Dallas. Dallas was a hot team and everything else. The Boston Red Sox have reeled off 5 in a row and are really in the wild card conversation. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, here we go again. The trade deadline coming up down the road here. What are we going to do? One of these years, we're going to have to go for it, right?
You would think so, but then again, this is John Henry that we're talking about, and it's something that we talked about before. He no longer views this as a passionate thing. It's just another asset to him. He stopped caring about the Boston Red Sox years ago. So as much as we can pound the table, look at how this team's performing right now. Look at what Alex Cora is doing with this team right now. Look at all the young talent that's overperforming now. The guys like Rafaela. Guys like Tristan Casas is on the injury report right now, but guys like Jaron Durant is having a good year. Brian Bayo was your opening day starter. Look at all these guys overperforming. Let's go make a splash and go get some more proven pieces to support these guys. But doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Chaim Bloom or Craig Breslow. I'm learning as long as John Henry is the owner, and as he said in one of his interviews a while ago, he's not going to sell the team because he's not in the business of selling assets as he thinks of the Red Sox now. As long as he's running the show, it's just going to be a whole lot of mid from here on out.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you very much for the call, and let's see what happens now with the Patriots, the Red Sox, and as we go into the summer and into the fall, how things happen here with Boston Sports. Thanks for your
Well, hey,
call.
Ryan, Paul, let me give Ryan one more.
Sure.
Big swing of momentum as the Edmonton Oilers have now won 2 consecutive and went in Florida and did a heck of a job. Do you see that momentum carrying over? And Edmonton can win 4 in a row and sweep Florida? Or does Florida change it back and can win 1 out of the next 2?
I think the latter, unfortunately. Like personally, at most, I think it goes 7 and then Florida takes it.
That'd be awesome.
The way I thought it was going to go was once what Jason Tatum did, Matthew Tkachuk was going to follow, because those guys were boys were friends going all the way back to their childhood days in St. Louis. So I'm stunned. I know they have the greatest player on the planet in Connor McDavid, but the way that they kind of just laid down those first 3 games, I wasn't expecting this much of a momentum boost. I'm hoping that they can do a reverse sweep, but I just doubt that's sustainable. I think at most it goes 7, but I think Florida's going to get that forecheck going again, and they're going to take one of these last 2.
All right.
So Tkachuk has the it factor then, right?
Sooner or later, I think the it factor will show.
A little bit more so than the other guy you mentioned there.
See.
All right. Thank you very much, Ryan. See you later. The last sportscast that we did, the last podcast, Ryan called up and said, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, Paul, but I'm not quite as tough on him as you are. I don't mean to do that, but hey, that's what it is. Hey, I'm going to go to the scoreboard here. We've got Tatum with 3 votes as favorite player. We've got Brown, Porzingis with 2, and we got Holiday, White, Pritchard with 1, and then we have 1 vote for all of the above. They were all great. So I think there's something to that. The fact that all together as a unit, this team is nasty. They are nasty as a unit. They really are.
I really hope that, Nelson said, the core sticks together and, you get a full season out of Porzingis. As Spears says, can he pull a Bill Walton 1986 performance? And if they have to go next year with more of the big guys, but he's really a guy that on defense can really alternate a game plan for some offensive players. So like to see a full capacity of Porzingis lasting the entire year. That would be fun to watch.
All right, we got Mark Sylvia commenting from Chicago. Performance. Hope you die for Brown. I'll break the ties. So who do you got, Mark? Who's your favorite player? Does he mean Brown?
He's got to.
Yeah, because that would make it 3 and 3. Because we got 3 votes for Tatum and 2 for Brown right now. I had a little fun. I had a little fun texting with Mark because I know you were getting tired of hearing what I was saying. So we were in a 3-way, you, me, and Mark. So I was like, I think this one I'm just going to send it to Mark. I'm just going to go right by Chris on this one.
Love it. Keep
so anyway, he's a great guy. We enjoyed chatting with him, and we had some fun. Call me, I'm driving. Okay, let me try to do that. Let me see if I can do that. It wouldn't be the first time that we decided to try to find somebody who we thought was going to call, and then there was some issue. So we'll do that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Tomorrow I'm going to try to pull off this parade.
Yep.
Hopefully I don't get stuck, somewhere where I can't move and I'm sitting there on the highway and there's no place to go. And, I don't know, but let's see if we can get Mark on the line here.
He's driving. Don't crash.
A call to the Windy City.
Hello.
Hello there, Mark. Oh, it's great to hear from you.
Hey, sorry, I typed a comment. You were reading it. I'm going, what did that comment even say? I'm driving. So I apologize if you were reading a gibberish type comment, but my vote goes to Brown, by the way.
Okay, all right. So we got a tie, 3 for Brown and 3 for Tatum. So that pretty much sums it up.
I can't let Tatum walk away with it.
That's right.
Hey, Mark, what are you going to say now, huh? What are you going to say now?
Well, I'm going to say Tatum's going to be the highest paid player in the NBA in a couple months.
Hey, Mark, listen, I know you're driving. Are you driving to Boston to go to the duck boats?
No, I'm saying I apologize. I literally just turned the radio on or Facebook. But are you guys going to the parade? Or
I'm going to go.
Paul's going, yes.
Okay, so are you going to wear a Tatum jersey?
I'm going to have Brown like sewed into the back of this.
He's got a Celtic shirt on right now, but it just says Celtics in the front. But I think his son's going to get a magic marker and put Brown on the back of that shirt that he's wearing.
Well, Mark, you didn't hear it from the beginning. And I figured, all right, let me just get one last rant in there about the whole, Brown Tatum thing. And then I ended up going on for about 20 minutes, and we started getting all kinds of calls, and down the rabbit hole we went again.
So I think it's been a great show.
Pretty much done with it now.
It's been a great show, Mike.
Hey, listen, I know I'm up against the gun, but at the end of the day, I think as Celtics fans, whether we're a Tatum fan, a supporter, detractor, Brown fan, I've said this before. Stevens just did a heck of a job assembling this team.
Sure did.
And the more I listen to it, I mean, honestly, I think the media overblows it because it genuinely feels like Brown and Tatum actually really like playing together. And if the supporting cast can stay intact, which they are for the next couple of years already,
yep.
Man, I see no reason why they can't be multiple championships with this group.
Oh, absolutely, Mark. You hit the nail right on the coffin. I really, truly believe that these guys have found something that, hey, we can work together, and we got three other guys that can really put it. Like I said, I want Porzingis for an entire season. No injuries, play basketball. Give me what you got. And I really like to see that. If I get that in 1 or 2 years, absolutely they can repeat.
Can you imagine if Porzingis was healthy for a whole year? I mean, what kind of team this would be?
Yep.
Oh, my God. I mean, they were doing great even when he was out.
I'll tell you, the biggest guy is going to be the strength and conditioning coach. He's going to be the hugest guy in the Celtics for next year to get that guy in shape and healthy for a full season.
All right, so the Red Sox, 5 in a row there, Mark. They're kind of sneaking along while we're not paying attention.
Hey, they're still average, but at the end of the day, I was texting Chris and a couple of our other friends. I mean,
yep.
What's not getting noticed, now granted, they got a 250 batting average, but they lead the American League in steals. They lead the American League in triples. They're second in the American League in doubles. We know their pitching has been pretty solid. So, they don't have the power numbers, but my gosh, they got some guys that are playing well. My kid, who was a stats guy at 12 years old, he come to me the other day. He loves Durant, and he goes, Dad, I didn't realize this, but David Hamilton has more stolen bases than Durant. And I'm going, like, where did David Hamilton come from? And all of a sudden, the guy's got 20 stolen bases.
Yeah, I mean, can you win playing that old school kind of baseball, do you think, in the long run?
Well, I think you have trouble against the Yankees of the world and the Phillies of the world, although, guess what? They just won a series against both of those guys, right? But, hey, real quick, and I'm going to tell you this. You'll like this, Paul. I'll make this as short and quick as I can. I'm at the Red Sox-White Sox game last week in the front row. I was in the very front row. And Jason Veritek's wife is sitting to the seat to my right. And he came over and gave her a kiss, and her and I were talking, and I had a good Jason Veritek story because he met my grandmother in Fairhaven a couple of years ago. So it was really, really a cool story. She's got a couple of young girls with her. I didn't know who they were. So I stand up after a Bobby Delbeck strikeout because I can't stand the guy. So I start screaming, Bobby, you suck! Bobby, you suck! And he looks right at me as he walks in the dugout. So Jason Veritek's wife looks at me and she goes, this is Bobby's fiance, right to my right.
Oh!
And I'll tell you, she was not happy with me.
Oh, man, that's great. Yeah, you never know who's around. When you're sitting in those VIP seats, you know what I mean?
It was terrible. And, hey, I'm not a hockey guy, but I'll leave you with this. I do think it's going 7. I have a hard time thinking Edmonton's going to lose at home with the momentum they have.
Mm-hmm.
And, the all-world goalie for Florida, I think he's a little shook right now.
Right.
And it's hard to see somebody winning 4 games. But, boy, I have a hard time thinking Florida is going to win in Edmonton with the momentum Edmonton's got and the way McDavid's been playing. So I think it goes 7 and Florida wins a close game.
All right.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
By the way, did I see that your grandson won the championship?
My grandson.
Or your son? Was it your son?
Hey, my son, for crying out loud.
That was a slip of the tongue. Excuse me. Your son.
He's got the it factor, pal.
He's got the it factor. That's what I want to say. Hey, thanks very much.
Hey, take care, guys. Good
All right.
talking to you.
All right. Same here. Same here. All right. How about that? He's sitting down there in the VIP section. He starts yelling out, "Dauber, you suck," and his fiance is sitting right there. Bobby strikeout, says Chris DuPont.
No, DuPont's laughing at that story, and then he says, but Bobby strikeout does suck. So
He agrees with Mark.
He's not much of a Dahlback fan. But hey, listen, let's give Cora a lot of credit about making this team with what they have, putting them in already in this position. If he knows he's got guys who are running, then we're going to run. If he's got guys that do this, they're going to do that. So, he doesn't have like big name players, but he's making the best out of all of them. And they went to Pawtucket and said, these are our young arms and we're going to live and die with them. And right now they're living with them. So give Alex Cora a lot of credit.
Yeah, and they're fun to watch too. They're scrappy, they're competitive.
Good.
Like you say, they steal bases, they hit the balls in the gap, they go for the extra base, they hit to the right side when you need to move a player along. They do all these little things. And I find them fun to watch. You know what I mean? They're entertaining. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if they hang around, maybe there's some truth to sticking with some of these young guys. I guess that remains to be seen. Okay, I'd like to thank Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John Seed for being our sponsors. And how about all the callers we got tonight? I knew we were gonna, get that little nerve going over there. Lorianne LaFleur Alston from Florida, Ben from Dartmouth, Spear from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Nelson from Fall River, Ryan from Acushnet, and Mark from Chicago, all calling in tonight. So thank you very much. Chris DuPont for obviously commenting in the comment line. But hey, that's a pretty good piece of geography we got going there.
Yeah, Noah Avila came in. He put it up there as well. Shina Catano, thanks to you too. Lynette Lawton, Cynthia Camacho. So Andrew DuPont, Lee Tuen. So it was great to see all the people chiming in. I hope you enjoyed this show. And right around the corner, Paul, next thing you know, we'll start thinking about making some predictions about your New England Patriots. So, lot going on with the Red Sox, but Patriots is around the corner. So we'll see how it goes.
The Red Sox can sneak in the wild card and pull off the upset against the Orioles or something really fun like that. You know what I mean?
You have to put my Orioles in there. Okay. I see how you are. Could have said the Yankees. You could have said Nelson's Yankees.
How about Dallas Cowboys? When are they going to blow it? We just don't know yet. We have to watch the season and figure out.
When they get in the playoffs. They always make the playoffs.
Yeah, we don't. I know they always make the playoffs.
They're the team who makes the playoffs the most in the NFL, but they always lose when they get in the playoffs.
Is that what it is? They have the record of being the team in the playoffs the most?
Yes, but they lose when they get in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's fine, but
they're getting there, but not getting over the hump when they get there.
All right, hey, that was a fantastic show. That was a lot of fun. Again, thanks to everybody, and we'll talk to you again real soon. There's a lot more on the agenda. The Celtics are all done. Hey, hopefully it's a good parade tomorrow. I'm looking forward to going up there. I'll make sure I bring some extra water, and we'll celebrate with the Celtics championship number 13 since the year 2001. Unbelievable that Boston gets to celebrate again. For Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos. We'll talk to you again real soon. Have a great night.